So you're thinking about joining the military, and everyone keeps throwing around terms like ASVAB and AFQT. At this point, you might be wondering, what do these even mean? And why are they so important? Do I need to take more than one test? Stick with me and I'll explain it all. Welcome to the U.S. Military Test Prep channel by Study.com. My name is Eric, Marine Corps veteran and an ASVAB test prep expert. In today's video, we're breaking down the difference between the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, or ASVAB, and the Armed Forces Qualifying Test, or AFQT. By the end, you'll know exactly how these scores affect your future in the military. Let's get started by taking a look at the ASVAB. The ASVAB has 9 or 10 subtests, depending on if you're taking the paper or the computerized version. These subtests check out your knowledge in different areas like math, vocabulary, and mechanics. You can find a video on this channel that gives more information about the paper versus the computer version. You'll get a standard score for each of the subtests. So what's a standard score? It's basically how you stack up against other people your age, specifically 18 to 23 years of age in the US. The average score is 50, and the scoring system is built around this baseline. For example, an AFQT score of 65 means you scored better than 65% of this reference group. Higher scores show off your strength in certain areas, which can be a game changer for landing specific military roles. You'll also get a percentile rank. This shows how your performance compares to others. For example, the percentile rank of 75 means you scored better than 75% of standard test takers. A higher percentile rank can increase your chances of qualifying for specific military roles, and it can give you an advantage when applying for more specialized or competitive positions. Here's where the AFQT comes in. The good news is that the AFQT isn't a separate test. It's actually a score that is formed by adding together your scores on 4 key ASVAB subtests. The AFQT is a subset of the ASVAB subtests that specifically measures a candidate's aptitudes in areas like arithmetic reasoning, mathematics knowledge, word knowledge, and paragraph comprehension. These scores are used to determine whether someone is eligible to enlist in the military. Your AFQT score is a percentile ranking, meaning if you score a 60, you did better than 60% of standard test takers. Each military branch has its own standards. So why is the AFQT important? It's the gatekeeper. If your score doesn't meet the minimum required by your chosen military branch, you can't enlist. Your AFQT score can also impact the types of roles and opportunities available to you within the military, so it's really essential to perform well. Here's where it gets a bit more customized. Once you're eligible to enlist, the military will use your ASVAB scores to determine what kind of job you're best suited for within the service. These jobs are determined using composite scores, also called line scores. These are created by combining your standard scores from various subtests that are relevant to specific military jobs. Each branch of the military has its own way of calculating these because different roles need different skills. Each military job has a minimum composite score requirement in one or more areas. For example, technical job would be more interested in math and science scores, while a mechanical role would care more about your understanding of mechanics and tools. Your composite scores really dictate what jobs you qualify for, so they're really worth paying attention to. Let's talk numbers and take a closer look at the minimum AFQT score you need to enlist in each branch of the military. Usually a high school diploma or a GED is required to qualify for any branch of the military. If you pass the GED exam, you'll need to aim for a score of at least 50 for all branches. But with a high school diploma, that's where scores are a little bit more varied. You'll need a minimum score of 31 for the Air Force, the Army, and the Marine Corps. The Coast Guard, however, requires a 36, which is the highest required AFQT score. If you want to enlist in the Navy, you'll need to have at least a 35. Like I said, this is with a diploma. Without one, you'll need a score of 50. If your AFQT score is higher than minimum, that's great. This opens up additional job options, potentially more career growth, and maybe even some bonuses. Once you get your ASVAB results, you'll see 3 key things: your standard scores, composite or line scores, and your AFQT score. Let's quickly review what these mean and why they matter. Your standard scores tell you how you did on each individual subtest. The composite or line scores decide which military jobs you qualify for, and the big one, your AFQT score, tells you if you're eligible to enlist. Now don't stress if your scores aren't where you want them to be just yet. I'm here to give you some steps you can take to improve your scores and better position yourself for the military job that you want. First, pinpoint both your strengths and your weaknesses. Look at which subtests brought your score down and which ones you excelled in. While it's important to address weaker areas to meet minimum requirements, excelling in your strong areas can also help to offset lower scores in other sections. This balance can improve your overall test outcome, especially for composite scores and percentile rankings. Next, study smarter. Spend more time on the sections you struggled with. Using good study resources can make a big difference. Study.com's ASVAB test prep resources can help with personalized plans and practice tests to get you on the right track. In fact, 92% of users pass the ASVAB after prepping with Study.com. The reason why is because our ASVAB resources, the courses, the lessons, and the practice tests closely mirror the actual ASVAB in both content and a lot of other ways. Our exams are also adaptive, just like the ASVAB, so you can clearly see where you excel and where you need a little bit more work. You can even use the timer on Study.com's ASVAB practice test to simulate the actual testing environment. As an added benefit, you can get a breakdown of all the different scores, including your AFQT score. It's a pretty valuable resource to prep you for the real thing. Now, if you don't do as well as you'd hoped when you take the actual ASVAB, you can retake it. You'll need to wait 30 days before your first 2 retakes, and after that, it's a 6-month wait if you want to try again. So use the time to your advantage. Also, keep in mind that you can use your ASVAB scores for up to 2 years to enlist, so make sure you plan accordingly. If you need to retake the ASVAB, the Study.com ASVAB prep course can really zero in on the areas that you need to improve on. Okay, that's the rundown on the difference between the ASVAB and the AFQT. To recap, these aren't separate tests. While the ASVAB tests your knowledge and skills and determines what jobs you can do, the AFQT is calculated from your ASVAB subtest and decides if you're eligible to enlist. If this video helped you out, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment with any questions or topics that you want us to cover, and don't forget to subscribe for more U.S. military test prep content. I'll see you in the next video. You've got this.